Hello all, welcome to oratrainings.com. In this session, we'll discuss about the Microsoft SQL Server overview, the installation, and the demo queries. So we'll understand about what is this developer edition and the SQL Server Management Studio, database hierarchy in the MS SQL, as well as demo queries. And before understanding the Microsoft SQL Developer Edition, let us understand the history of SQL Server. So if you observe, the Microsoft has been started their development in the year 1989, and it all evolved, and it had a collaboration with other enterprises, and then later it just solely owned the database, and then it started with different versions coming from SQL Server 7.0 in 1998, and in the latest 2017, and also of course we have a latest version 2025, and 2017 was the first support of a Microsoft SQL Server for Linux. So earlier it supported only Windows database, but later on it supported the Linux database also. Now, so what is the market share of SQL Server? So it is one of the prominent database which is used worldwide, and it being used by around 1,25,000 companies, and it has a market share of around 27% market share. And also it is used in many of the data industry usages, and even if you're aware, the Microsoft Dynamics, the Oracle, the ERP from the Microsoft, and that particular ERP uses Microsoft SQL Server as a database. Okay, and it is it is growing predominantly, and yeah. So and you can also, if you're trying to compare the SQL Server with other kind of databases, we have not provided all the list, but on the high level, if you observe, it has a market share of 27%, and Oracle has a data share like a market share of 12%. And the common interest industries for this one is finance, healthcare, and government. And the one which we're discussing today, as we are developers, we would like to work with the free editions to learn the Microsoft SQL Server, right? So let us say you want to learn the Microsoft SQL Server. So the one of the easiest way what you can do is you can install the local database in your laptop or desktop, and you can work on it. So that's what we'll try to do it today. Okay. So now, yeah. So and also, if you observe, this is not an open source; it's a commercial software, a proprietary software. Of course, it is available freely for developer editions. And coming to the Postgre, let us, if you're interested in the open source kind of software, you can go with the Postgre or MySQL. Okay. Yeah, now let's start with the Microsoft SQL Server Developer Edition. So the first thing is there are two particular softwares you have to install in your local system. If at all, if you want to learn the SQL Server within your local system, what you can do is you can navigate to this particular website, and you can download either Developer Edition or Express Edition. And in our demo today, so I have went with Express Edition. So just click on the download on this Express Edition. It will download an exe file. Once you click on that installation of that particular exe file, you should be able to see this particular screenshots, and you can go with the basic option here and make sure that you accept the agreement and click on accept. Once it is done, it will validate, and then it will select the by default a program files developer location. Go with the default, don't change it, and just click on next, and it will perform the installation. It will take some time, and then once the installation is done, what you can do is this is the installation of Microsoft Developer Edition. You can also click on connect now. It will connect you to that command prompt, but that may not be helpful because command prompt is not that much visually easy for developers to understand or write a commands, right? So though what we require is we require a software called SSMS. You can observe here in this particular one, it shows the button called install SSMS. Once you click on the SQL Server Management Studio, so what do you mean? Why do we require a SQL Server Management Studio? The installation, whatever we have done, is the core database, and but to access the database, we require a utility, right? Even though SQL Server provides a command line utility, that is not that much easy to understand. You can't see the result properly. And the best thing is you can use a visual editor that is called SQL Server Management Studio. Once you click on this button, it will navigate to this particular website wherein you can download this SQL Server Management Studio and perform the installation of that. Once it is installed, what you can do is you can open the SQL Server Management Studio. And now the basic thing it will ask you is like when you're trying to access this particular database of your local system, you mention the server name, generally which you get it while installation of your particular SQL Server Express Edition. Mention the server name, and you can go with the Windows authentication and click on OK. So this is how we can access the SQL Server Management Studio. Now, the next thing is as we have installed the prerequisite softwares, now we'll just try to get into more details now. So assume that you have connected to the database. And what is the hierarchy of database? Let us say if you're a developer from other database background, generally, we'll consider one example. Let us say if I'm from Oracle database background, the first thing what we do is we need to connect to a particular database connection. And then when we create any database object, we need to understand to which schema we are connecting, right? And once you mention the schema name, then you can try to access the tables or you can create the objects in this particular schema like that. So similarly, if you observe the folder structure of Oracle or maybe the Microsoft, it is almost same. The top level is nothing but your database server. Under the database server, you'll have a couple of schemas. Example, you can observe here the master database schema, model database schema, MSDB database schema. So these are the couple of database schemas which come by default in the Express edition. Under the database schema, you have the database object. Example, like the tables which you may have it. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, these are the couple of databases which come by default. As a developer, it does not need to create them by default. The couple of databases will be available, like a master, model, MSDB kind of thing. Okay. And now, so what we can do is like we'll navigate over MS SQL Management Studio. Let's see that first. So here, yeah, I'll just close this. Okay, let it be. Now, this is a I'll just create a new file. Let's say I create a new file here. What you can do is you can click on file, new or something like that, or you can just press Control N. It will create a new file for you. Now, what is this new file is all about? So now what I'll do is let us say I would like to write some query, right? I would like to write some query. Let us say select star from a specific table, right? Now what I'll do is let us say if you observe the tables here, yeah, I'll show you. So here if you observe, I have only one table, dbo.xvo table, right? dbo.access table one. And here, this particular table, yeah, and it says the data, like this particular object is not available because it is available in this particular one. Where exactly it is available? It is available in the sample DB. Okay, if it doesn't work, we'll try to execute. Yeah. So now here, if you observe, this is available in the sample DB. Now what we do is we'll try to create a couple of database objects as well as like a database schema also. Let us say we'll like to create database. Now let us understand how do we create it, right? Let us say I want to create a database with the name sample db2. So I'll just create this. And to execute this query, there are a couple of shortcuts. You can use Control E, okay, Alt X or F5. You select the query and just execute it. The database got created. And I'll just refresh that, right? X example db2 is got created. Now what we do is let us say if at all, whatever the objects which you create by default, what will happen is now just observe what is the current database. So I'll just execute this one just here. The current database is master database. So by default, whenever you try to execute here, now in this scenario, like as my current database is this one, I'll just, even though when you mention create a table, right? Let us say if you mention create table, automatically it will get created in the master one. So here, just refresh here. Okay, so this is how it will get created because it created in the master because that was a default database which was considered here. So if at all, if you want to change that, what you can do is you can just use a command called use. Now let us say what are the object which I create now. I want to use my latest database. You can just mention use and then select this query and press Control E. So now whatever the object which you create now will get created in the latest database which you mentioned. Now you can also validate that. You can just select the query and see here the current database is X example database 2. Now let us see how do we create a database table, right? So now to create a database table, what you can do is you just mention the create table command followed by the table name. And then if at all, if you want to mention the primary key for that, you can mention primary key. And the data type for this one is one of the, now for the employee ID, we have considering integer, nothing but a number. We have to mention the syntax is int. And if it is a character, you can go with nvarchar and you can mention the size. For date, you can just go with the date. And if it is a floating or a decimal one, you have to mention decimal and then mention the number of digits of floating. So now let us copy this one and I'll create here and I'll select the query, press Control E. The table got executed. And now let us say I'll just mention select. Yeah. So now let's try to execute. So as of now, it is not showing any data because we have not inserted any data in that, right? So now let us say I would like to insert some data. So then what you can do is you can copy this query. So here, when you're inserting the data, insert into table name, mention the column names here, 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, but here, what are we inserting? We are not inserting any of the employee ID, right? That's why, it is not, we have not provided them. Let us see that. What will happen now? Let's say I'll insert them, got executed. Let's see the data. Now, can you see it is generating the sequence automatically because we have mentioned this particular syntax identity 1:1. So it is generating a sequence 1, 2, starting with 1. Okay. So this is how we can insert the data into the table. Now, if at all, if you want to update any specific data, right, you can use update command followed by table name, mention which column you want to update. And if at all, if you want to consider a specific criteria while performing the update, you have to use where clause, else where clause is not required. Let us say I would like to update the salary for all employees. Then what you can do, you can just mention that you want to increase the salary of all employees by 5,000. You can just execute like this. Now what will happen? This one, earlier it was like if you observe, yeah, it was 6,000, 60,000, and it became 65,000, then 80,000, then 55,000 it became because it got updated for all the employees. Now let us say if you want to update the salary for only specific employee Do, what you can do is wherever Do is there by the last name, for that particular person it will increase 5,000. Now let's see this again. You can just see here. For Do, you should be able to see the extra 5,000, right? And now, if at all, if you want to delete a specific record, what you can do is just mention delete from employees where first name, where can mention the where condition, or if you don't mention the where condition, what will happen? It will delete all the records. Let us say if I mention this particular one, Control E, it will delete and it says that it deleted one record. And now if you try to see the data here, you should be able to see only two records. Assume that let us say if I remove the where clause and try to delete all the data, if you execute this delete command, what will happen? It will delete all the rows which are available in the table, irrespective of the filter criteria, because you have not mentioned any where clause. So it means that you want to delete all the data. I'll just say Control E. It will delete all the records. As of now, we know that there are two records only. So it deleted those two records. And if you try to execute this query, select query, it shows no data. Now I'll try to reinsert Control E. Okay, three rows inserted. Okay. Now so this is how we can delete the data. And if at all, if you want to add any new column, right, what you can do is you can mention alter table. This is a detail command wherein you are modifying the structure of your table. Alter table, table name, add departments, and then mention the data type of that specific column. So I'll just say again, Control E, the new command, or sorry, the new column got inserted. And now we can try to validate that. Let us say Control E. And as of now, the initial value for the department was null because while inserting, we have not mentioned any value. So by default, it will consider null value. So here you can see the value as null for the department. So far what we have done is we have just seen the SQL Server Express Edition and how do we install the MS SQL Management Studio. And also we have seen how do we create a sample database and sample table insertion, updation, deletion, as well as alter. So maybe in the next session, we'll again work on the MS SQL Server and to understand the stored procedure concept like a procedure and as well as function. Thank you.